Not paying attention. Hi, Kathy, how are ya? How come this sounds a bit muffled? Maybe there. Oh, I had the earphones turned down. There we go. I found the other smaller four-sided microphone flag today. It's a little more compact than that one yesterday. Where's the Rumbo? He's probably trying to figure out how to program his new tablet. I hope he didn't buy another iPad. Apple's too goddamn rich. People need to start buying other shit. Although, I'll tell you what. There he is. Are you taking us in the kitchen on your new iPad? Or did you buy an Android this time? Let's get started. Broadcasting from beautiful downtown Cleveland, it's station WDWL TV and the Grumpy Old Man, and we are brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. No bow. Oh, I'll tell you what, you talk about a clusterfuck day. 8:30 this morning, my cell phone rings. I'm like, God damn it, who the hell's calling me at 8:30 in the morning? I look down. It's my doctor's office. I'm thinking, this isn't good. So the secretary said, your doctor called in sick today. I was like, oh, fucking wonderful. We're rescheduling your appointment to January 6th. I was like, well, what about my medication refills? Oh, I'll call him as soon as I get off the phone. I says, you better. So then, I had to call the shrink and reschedule that appointment because my visit with him was predicated on the medication decision versus the implant was, he was going to do a workup if I was mentally ready. So I had to schedule that one for January 8th. So then I call the persecutor at 9 o'clock and I get voicemail. So I leave a detailed voicemail message and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I had to go to the store. And, you know, be my luck, I'd be in the store and the fucking persecutor would call. So I'm sitting here, 4 o'clock, still no call. So I call again. Voicemail. So I left him a very heated voicemail telling him everybody's fucking ignoring me. Now watch him call first thing in the morning and want to talk. And I'm going to tell him, you know what? I'm going to be a real hostile witness. I was let down the day of the accident by the police department. I was let down by Officer Adams, who was going to get me police reports and never returned a phone call on her voicemail. And then this asshole, I'm like, I don't even want to be here. And if I'm forced to, I'm going to tell the judge, I'm here as a hostile witness. And he'll say, well, gee, Mr. Grumpy, why so hostile? And then I'll unload on him. So tomorrow, there might not be a show because I might get arrested for fucking contempt of court. I'm just so pissed off. And I'm going to tell that persecutor, I'm going to say, hey, you know, evidently you didn't check your voicemail messages. And if you did, you fucking ignored me. And then you expect me to be pleasant? Oh, he probably, 4:30. Oh, time to get the fuck out of here. Huh? You'll give me that bullshit while I was in court all day, Mr. Grumpy. You had to return to your office. There had to be a blinking light on your phone that's saying voicemail, 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 voicemail. Oh, I am not going to be happy in the morning, especially if that asshole calls me like at 8 o'clock. Which he probably will, to clue me in, about court and what's there. And I'm hoping when I tell the judge I'm here as a hostile witness, I'm hoping he says, why, sir? Explain. Oh, that courtroom will be covering their fucking ears. Assholes. $9:30. Court is at 9:30. So I will probably sign into Zoom like at 9:15. Because if it's anything like the last time, you can't really get in earlier than 15. And God forbid, like I had the last time, I had IT problems. And then I show up late and the judge chastises me and I said, I was on with your IT department trying to get in here. Only to discover that Zoom doesn't recognize the AOL browser. So I already did a test. I opened Gargle and I put in www.zoom.com, and then it says at the top, menu, meeting. I click on meeting, and then it says enter meeting number and password. That was where I will need to be in the morning. Oh, if this trial doesn't go off at 9:30, I'm exiting out. They can come get my ass. I am not going to sit all goddamn day. It says 9:30, it better go off at 9:30. Because I'll tell you what, by 9:45, if this case isn't called, I will exit out. And if I'm asked why, I'm going to say, I was let down from day one by the whole system. I can understand how people feel that are victims of serious crime that have to go through this shit only to have trials delayed. I'm going to give them 15 minutes. As a matter of fact, I've decided I'm coming on court just like this. And if the judge asks what all that is, I'm going to say, it's my YouTube channel. This will be broadcast on my YouTube channel. I wish I could record it. But I've got no way of doing that. Because you can't open YouTube and Zoom at the same time. Yeah, well, like I say, Ron, I'll give them till 9:45. If this case isn't called by 9:45, I'm gone. And then I will call the prosecutor and I will say, you know what? You screwed me over. You never returned either one of my calls. I was in court on time. I'm not going to sit all goddamn day. I'm not going to get a goddamn thing anyway. The asshole had no insurance. He had no license. What am I going to do? Take him to small claims court? And then I have to pay the filing fee for small claims? Bullshit. I mean, it's not like I had a Rolls Royce sitting on the street anyway. So I am not going to be. I'm not going to be happy tomorrow. And especially if that persecutor calls me at 8 o'clock in the morning. Him and I are going to have some words. I might tell him right then and there, screw you. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I got it in the ass. I'm tired of getting stuck in the ass by the system. Screw you. You know, first of all, neither of the officers bothered to wake me up. Second of all, the officer that was going to get me copies of all three of the police reports never came through, Not to mention, she didn't return my call after giving me her personal department cell phone number. I call it, I leave a detailed voicemail, and she doesn't bother to call me back. And then 2 calls to the goddamn persecutor who doesn't bother to call me back. If this is the way they treat people, screw them all. Because I will gladly tell the judge, I worked for the court system back in the 70s, and it was nothing like this. No, Ron, not at all. Nobody bothered to call me. I had to call the police department to find out what the fuck is going on. And then an officer promises to get me police reports and arrest reports, doesn't do it. I wait 2 weeks. I leave a detailed voicemail on her phone, and she doesn't bother to call me back. And then I get a subpoena for court, and the prosecutor doesn't bother to contact me previously? What does he think? He's going to do a goddamn Cliff Notes jam first thing at 8 o'clock in the morning? Oh, he better not call me at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, he ain't going to be happy. I'll tell him, you're waking my ass up, pal. You had your chance. At the end of the day, I sat here and wasted all day. Because, like I say, it would have been my luck. I'd have been in the grocery store. Hello, this is a prosecutor asshole. Click. So, they better not pull that shit. Make me sit and wait. My case is set for 9:30. It better get called at 9:30. Yeah, right, Ron. Usually, if you're to be called as a prosecution witness, the prosecutor sits down and talks to you. Like I say, I worked in the court system in the 70s. I know how it works. I'm the victim. You always sit down before court and talk to the victim. No, they just shoot out a goddamn fucking criminal subpoena. God, he knew my name, address, and phone number. He couldn't call me? No, he just... And I don't want to hear this bullshit. I was in court all day. At the end of court, you went back to your office. If you didn't bother to check you checked your voicemail and you ignored me, then I'm done with you. I guess I wasn't that important of a witness. You got the guy dead to right. You arrested him for DUI. He had no goddamn driver's license and no insurance. What are we having a trial for? What am I going to sit there and say, yes, Your Honor, he hit my truck? Well, do you have an estimate, sir? I'll say, well, no. Well, why not? Because 3 body shops refused to write one. That's why. God, the one guy looked out the window and he went, that? Well, he said, see ya. But you know, like I've explained to many people, the truck may look like a piece of shit. It looks like an escapee from a junkyard. It's never failed me. In all the time I've owned it, it has never failed me. You can't hear it idle. But yes, it looks like a piece of shit. It's all I can afford. How can I prove damages, Ron? 3 body shops refused to write an estimate. I went on eBay and got a list of parts I need to replace. How am I going to estimate labor? Not to mention, I'm not going to repair it. Yeah, I'm going to hang a brand new fender on a rot bucket. Yeah. Or a brand new bumper. Everybody step back and, wow, look at that bumper. The rest of the truck looks like a piece of shit, but boy, does that bumper shine. I'm just glad he didn't hit it head on and total it. At least I can drive it. Although, since it's got hit, there's an electrical short somewhere. It keeps killing the battery. I can't figure out where it's at, because the battery was right in that right front corner. I don't know, maybe it shorted the battery itself. I guess I'll have to add a $100 battery on the list. All right, Ron. Say they they come up with, okay, he owes you $1,500. I'm never gonna see it, even if they court order it. If he doesn't pay, I'm gonna call the prosecutor and say, hey, he hasn't sent me any money. Then they go out, they arrest him, and then he bails out of jail. It's not like child support. Ohio don't work that way with restitution. If you don't pay, it's up to me to go after him. It's a very unfair system. How am I misunderstanding you, Ron? I have no estimates to prove the damage. The police department has photos. They took photos. They know the damage. No matter what they award me, I'm not going to see a dime. If the guy can't afford to get his driver's license back, if he can't afford car insurance, he can't afford to pay me, and I'm going to be at the bottom of the list. This is the biggest waste of my time. You know, it'd be different if he was driving a 2025 Lincoln, Navigator and had it insured to the hilt. I'd have had an adjuster out here going, well, We'll give you $500 here. It's obvious the guy probably can't afford anything. Otherwise, he had a driver's license. Although, if he's got multiple DUIs, his driver's license might be suspended for what? He don't even have it. They took it away from him. It's not suspended. The state canceled his driver's license. Which means he probably has to pay several thousands of dollars to get his license back. You know, he's one of these typical assholes that he took a chance. He knew he didn't have a license. He took a chance. Unfortunately, he was fucking drunk. So I give him a list. And I will tell the judge, I couldn't get estimates here off of eBay. Front bumper, $109. Fender, $252.90. Parking lamp, $22.29. Grill, $86.85. Turn signal, $24.79. Battery, $100. So they tell the guy, okay, you owe Mr. Grumpy $1,800. I'll never see a dime. Because if he had any money, he'd have a fucking license. The only thing I will really probably find out tomorrow is how many DUIs he has. And I'd like to find out where the car went. If he was making payments on it, maybe it got fucking repossessed. Just a losing affair. See, it would be different if they did restitution like they do child support. You get behind your child support, your bail is your arrearage. Well, that might be a little itty bitty piece of the cake, Ron. The guy's got multiple DUIs. So he got arrested again. His license was canceled by the state. And he had no insurance. That is one thing I was able to check. I called the DMV when I got his full name. And the girl said, well, I can't give you a lot of information, but his license was canceled. I said, what about suspended? She said, no, it doesn't exist. In order for him to get his license, he probably has to pay several $1,000s and take the driving test again, like a newbie. Is it child support, Kathy? See, most states, I don't understand this one because most states, if the ex-wife has a court-ordered child support amount monthly, and they keep track, and he gets behind, they usually say, okay, you owe $2,000, that's your bail. Well, I don't know, they work in strange ways there because I know several years ago, my buddy's son got behind in his child support, like to the tune of almost $6,000. And they finally issued an arrest warrant. And I told my buddy, don't bail the asshole out, but it was his son. So he had to pay the 6,000 plus court fees and all this. It was almost $7,000, which the 6,000 went to the ex-wife for the child support. Well, then I don't know, 6-7 months went by. He got behind again. She kept throwing his ass in jail. That was the only way she collected her child support. He'd get 3-4 months behind. She'd notify the court system. They'd issue a warrant, pick his ass up. But after the first time, my buddy was smart enough to, I said, don't pay it. Let him figure it out. Well, my buddy's like, well, if he doesn't have a job, I said he's not paying anyway. And see, the problem was it was ordered as a payroll deduction. Well, then he was working under the table. He worked for 3 or 4 different roofers. And he got them all to agree, pay me in cash. Because when it's payroll deduction, as long as you have a job, the only problem is if you change jobs, it's up, unfortunately, to the ex to have to find out where you're working to get the payroll deduction at the new job. Yep. That's the way they beat the system. Oh, it's always that way, Kathy. They get remarried and a new car, new house. The kids have all the latest designer clothing. And the poor ex has to go to Goodwill. I've seen that many times. But that's how they beat the system. They jump jobs. And unfortunately, the court system is so overwhelmed with these cases. The poor kids suffer. But I could guarantee he wants visitation. And see, you can't withhold the kids. That's where the court's on his side. Well, Your Honor, he's not paying his child support, so I won't let him see the kids. Duh! You're going to be in contempt of court. He is allowed to see his kids. That's where the whole system needs to be revamped. It really does. Because it's been like this for years. The system is broken. And it's been broken for years. Well, in that case, Kathy, no great loss. Because I'm sure the child don't want to see him. The child's got better family support anyway. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, the village is raising the child, and the hell with the father. Which is sad. Because I'm sure the father enjoyed making him. Oh, Jesus Christ. Boy, this guy's a loser all the way around. But unfortunately, when they were dating, he was like Mr. America. One of these can't do anything wrong type people. But then the ring goes on the finger, and we see the other side of him. Like a court case I was watching this afternoon. This guy was in the Army. And he was going on maneuvers for, like 3 weeks. So he sends a text message to his wife that he wanted certain alcohol when he returned, knowing she couldn't buy it yet. So while he was gone, she would, and it was harmless. This was a guy she went to high school with and stayed in touch with, and it was harmless. She was not cheating on him. But he was of age. So she said, could you pick up Fireball and such and such and such and such? I'll give you the money. So he goes out and gets it. So Mr. Wonderful comes home from leave and very happy to see the alcohol sitting on the table and imbibed in quite a bit of it. So she goes in to take a shower because, hey, he's been gone for 3 weeks. We're going to have a little hanky panky later. Well, while she's in the shower, he goes through her phone and he sees who bought the alcohol. So immediately he thinks, oh, this cheating bitch. So she comes out of the shower and puts on her PJs and she goes, I just have to finish a couple of things for work. She sits down at her computer. He goes in the closet, gets an AR-15 and blows her head off. Then he tried to make it out it was an accident. I didn't realize there was one in the chamber. I removed the clip. I accidentally, and the detectives were, how could you accidentally? It was a direct line into the back of her skull, through her skull, into the computer monitor. Because they showed the bullet in the monitor. And he played Mr. Innocent. Oh, it was an accident. They said, wait a minute. You have been shooting guns since you were, what, 6 years old? You went through a marksman course in the Army? You know to check a weapon to make sure it's unloaded, but it was an accident. Because he supposedly, now this was an AR-15 that he had customized for her because they would go shooting. He was going to clean it. How many cases have you heard about people cleaning loaded guns? He ended up, and then the bullshit, the jury does not convict him of first-degree murder. He gets manslaughter, and the judge gives him 8 years. You talk about lopsided justice. Oh, did he get one of those medical discharges? One of these, less than honorable. They get a medical or they get a psycho discharge. Well, then I watched oh my God. It was a compilation of police chases involving women. Oh, that's what everybody said. Even the goddamn prosecutor said, this is disgusting. And I don't understand how a jury could come back with that decision. But it was on the jury, the jury form, either you find him murder or manslaughter. So I'm watching this compilation of police chases involving women. I'll tell you what, there were some utterly disgusting women. There were several black women that had upper region the size of homeless Depot tool buckets. And they're wearing little flimsy lingerie. This one had a tube top on that looked like a 2-inch ace bandage. Even some of the cops were going, oh my God, is this disgusting? They get out of the car and these two big flop on the ground. It was an interesting hour and a half of police chases, we'll just say that. While I was killing time waiting for a phone call, I got so pissed off, I didn't even go to the grocery store. And there were a few things I really needed to get, but I'll do without until tomorrow. Oh, if he calls me first thing in the morning, I'm going to go ballistic. What, you just got your voicemail? What happened after court? I know you returned to your office. Oh, you didn't bother to, you saw the blinking light on the phone and you just ignored it. The reason I know is because a friend of mine works for, I can't remember what private phone installation the county bought. But the phones, when there's a voicemail, has a red blinking light. So when he walked in the office, he knew there were voicemails. And he better not give me this bullshit. Oh, I never went back to the office. I just left from court and went home. Oh, you were wearing your overcoat in the courtroom. Give me that bullshit. Well, at least it freed my week up from two doctor appointments. The whole week is free now. Although I have one Tuesday. Yeah, I have one next week Tuesday. And one the following week. And then I'm good till January. Christ, I have to go buy a calendar tomorrow. Boy, that really fries my ass having to buy a calendar. God, I remember back in the day you had so many goddamn calendars you were throwing them away. Everybody sent you one. Or every store you went to. Have a calendar. God, I used to get them from my insurance agent and the hardware store. You'd get them at the grocery store. You'd get a calendar from the drugstore. And the funeral home used to send them real nice. They propped up on your desk and they had a fold out and you could put phone numbers in. Not anymore. You don't get no free calendar nowhere. You get them down here for free? You got a wall calendar? I need a wall calendar for my appointments. Send me one. We don't get no free calendars around here anymore. I remember, back in the day, everywhere you went, you go to the bakery, did you hear, have a calendar? You go to the grocery store, have a calendar. Go to the barber shop, have a calendar. Go to the gas station, have a calendar. Now, you have to go buy a calendar. Oh, that fries my ass having to buy a calendar. I would appreciate it because I hate buying one. Matter of fact, last year, the only place that still had what I needed was Staples. I think I paid $8 for that fucking wall calendar. Because I need enough room to write appointments in. I mean, I could print calendar. I did it 2 years ago. There was a free calendar program I found on Gargle, and it used 8.5 by 11 normal print paper and had squares that were big enough to write in. But why should I waste my goddamn paper and my ink? Yeah, by the time I realized I needed a calendar last year, Marx was out of them because usually Marx has those desk blotter calendars, and that works real nice on the wall because if I put it on the desk, I end up scribbling all over it. Well, they didn't have them. They were out. And I went to Big Lots, they were out. I can't remember where else I went. And I ended up having to go to Staples. And the one I bought I didn't like, but I was coming down to the wire. I needed a calendar. I don't need nothing fancy, Kathy. I just need something that's got blocks that are big enough where I can write appointments in. Although, like I say, that desk blotter calendar, oh, that was great 2 years ago because I could write big. But I couldn't believe that everybody was out and Staples wanted like $20 for that desk blotter calendar. I was like, oh, I ain't paying that. I got this fold. It worked. It worked for a year, but like the girl told me, at Staples, she goes, people don't really buy them anymore. They got calendars on their phone, they got calendars on their computer, they got them on their tablets. She said, very few people buy wall calendars. I said, well, I do. I need them for appointments. Otherwise, I forget. Then the day before the appointment, I get the reminder that, oh, you got an appointment tomorrow. Oh, shit. But I remember, God, everybody gave a calendar. Everybody. Even the little mom and pop stores. Maybe it wasn't a big calendar, but everybody gave you a calendar. Like I say, the funeral homes, they sent you the expensive ones. It folded up and it sat on your desk, and then it would flip open and you could write phone numbers inside when people used to write phone numbers. We used to have these things called personal phone books. You wrote everybody's name, address, phone number. Back in the days when you wrote letters. Christ, I remember, God, back in the 70s, I would easily get 150, 200 Christmas cards. Everybody sent a Christmas card. Now I get like maybe 4. Matter of fact, the four people that send me a Christmas card, I bought Christmas cards. It says, "Thank goodness you're home. The Christmas tree fainted." Which is typical because my buddy's wife has to tie the tree to the wall so that the cat don't knock it over every year. So I thought of her when I ordered these. I don't remember the calendars from Sunoco. Maybe because every gas station gave you a calendar and I just went to whoever had the cheapest gas, like I do today. I don't remember Sunoco calendars. No. Maybe I didn't stop at Sunoco to get one. God, I can remember going places and it was like the last week of the month. And they'd be giving you 3 or 4 or 5 just to get rid of them. Here, take 7. One for each room in the house. Matter of fact, here's 2 extra. Put them in the bathroom. Yeah, I remember the last week of the month, if they had calendars left over, no matter where you went, you got 2 or 3 of them here. But nobody around here, they don't want to spend the money. Because I remember back in the day, a friend of mine sold advertising. And man, he looked forward to, I think the deadline was August, going around to all of his customers, getting the calendar orders. Because that's how he made his money. And most places always ordered at least 200 calendars because they didn't want, God forbid they ran out and someone didn't get one. Because I used to get calendars, all sizes, shapes, colors, designs, patterns. I remember one year my brother-in-law sent me one from the fire department. They did them beefcake fireman calendars. Every firehouse, the firemen would be out shirtless, flexing their muscles, Engine 22, ladder 64. Every month was a different beefcake. Matter of fact, the last calendar I got, I still have it because it was like, it's like, right, 1990. But every month was a different classic car. I saved it for the pictures of the classic cars. Matter of fact, I had one from one of the local towing companies, and every month was a different big wreck that they worked. You know, truck rollovers or. But no freebies anymore. And it just fries me to have to pay for a calendar. Okay, I bitched about calendars long enough. I made my point. I'm glad I found this one. This one looks better than the one last night. I was going to put the dumpster fire one on there, but it was way too, I put it on here, it was huge. I started digging around. I said, I know I got one more. And I found this one. Buried. Had to blow the dust off it. As a matter of fact, I found my gauge pod mount, the one that goes up on the A pillar, because I have my turbo boost gauge, my oil pressure, my oil temperature. And since there's an airbag behind it, I ordered double stick tape. So I'm going to line both sides with double stick tape and hope it holds. So I can put my gauges up. I was going to order a pod that went on top of the dash. And then I'm thinking, well, where am I going to run the goddamn wires? I'd have to drill a hole in the dash, and I ain't drilling a hole in the dash. So luckily, I forgot to even save that one. That was out of the old Ford Ranger. So I'm hoping with enough double stick tape, I'll just have to get in every day and give it a little push. Make sure it's sealed. Because I was going to attempt to remove the airbag. And reading in the Chilton's manual, it said, there is a possibility of detonation. I went, "Ruh." All right, Rudy, have a good one. Yeah, I did a test fit, and it'll look real good. So I ordered half-inch wide double stick tape, automotive. So I'm just gonna and hope it sticks. Because I have to have my gauges, man. Because there's a built-in water temperature on the dash, but I always like to keep track of oil pressure. So I've got the turbo boost and the oil pressure, and I figured, well, I didn't need a voltmeter, so I ordered a oil temperature. That way, between the water temperature and the oil temperature, I can monitor the engine and the oil pressure. All I need is a fairly decent day so I can wire everything up. Because I ordered the adapter plate. Now that I'm going to have Ryan put on for me. Because it goes in between the engine block and the oil filter. And that way you put the two sending units in the adapter plate. I had one on the Ranger. My dumbass, I should have taken it off because I discovered it's the same one for the Passat. Same threads. That was a waste of $30. It was one of those things, as it was getting towed away, I was like, wait! Too late. Down the truck, down the street. Yeah, because the company I ordered it from was the same company I ordered the first one from. And I went back in my purchases, and I'm looking and it said, because I asked them, I said, which one do I need? And I needed like an R4760. Today I'm looking through my old purchases. Adapter plate, R4760. That's all right. This one is brand new. I wouldn't trust the old O-rings and everything. I wish the rest of my stuff would get here from Temu already. All the neat little accessories I ordered for the interior. I ordered a custom overlay for the handbrake. It's chrome and carbon fiber. It fits right over the handbrake lever. Like somebody's going to see it. Oh, look, you have a neat looking handbrake there. Yep. Carbon fiber. What else did I order? Well, they had neat little things that go over them. I have those handholds in the roof to help me get in and out of the car. They had these neat little things that go on the handholds, and then the thing for your seatbelt. Like everybody said, man, wasted money. What the hell do you do? The only problem is I couldn't get them in green. I had to order them in gray to match the seat belts. I was hoping I could get them in green to match the floor mats and the seat covers. As a matter of fact, the seat cover for the back seat is still out of stock. Oh shit bars. I call them senior helpers. The only thing I dislike about the Passat is you sit so low and the door sill is like 3 inches higher than the floor. So I have to grab that thing and hoist my feet over the door sill so I can slide my ass out. Thank God those things are well bolted in. Slide out. Yeah, that grab bar. Ford has them up along the A-pillar, don't they? Or do they have them up in the roof? I know some vehicles have them on the A-pillar. Either way, I'll tell you what, I'm glad that, because otherwise I'd have to grab on the roof. Like I say, that's the only thing I dislike about the car is I sit so low in it. It's not made for old farts like me. It's made for youngers. Yours are up there? I know some are on the A-pillar. I don't know if that's Chevy. I don't know if Ford. But I'll tell you what, thank God that I've got that, because that car's a bitch to get out of. I mean, it's easy to get into, I just fall in it. Go to get out of it like I say, that car is not made for seniors. Although I love driving it. I can't wait until I own it. As a matter of fact, I got a text bill tomorrow. And titles were supposed to come through by now. I'm starting to get a little nervous. You know, I'm constantly looking in the mirrors. Are there any cops following me? Although Cleveland, they could give a shit. It's just the suburbs. Every now and then you'll get a cop and like nothing to do. Oh, run this license number. Because most of my damn doctor's appointments are out in Parma. Hang on. I have to make a note. Text bill about title. There. You'll get my text message and go, the pain in the ass texting me again. Although I don't want to piss him off because I want to lowball him on the Corvette. And if he gives me any shit, I'm going to say, hey, your father didn't buy a perfect, trouble-free Corvette to leave it sit for 6 years. There's something wrong with it. And then I'll tell him, hey, the Passat sat for 4. Cost me $1,300. Although it can sit until spring. Although it would look good sitting in the driveway. My neighbors drive by and go, holy shit, he's got a Corvette in the driveway. Oh, yeah. Take a look at who the hell drives Corvettes nowadays. It's all old farts like us because we're the ones that have the money. Although there's a guy up the street. He's got one of the new C8s. And he drives it all year round. Back in the day, you didn't dare take a Corvette out in the snow. You'd be wrapping it around a tree. But now with all that safety shit on them, the only thing he doesn't like about the new Corvette is they're all automatics. Because they said they could have put manuals in them, but it was too expensive to design all the linkages that they would have needed for that rear engine. And I'm thinking, now wait a minute. Ferrari and Lamborghini have rear engine vehicles that are manuals. You mean to tell me you couldn't take something out of their handbook? Not that I would buy a new one, but it kind of ruins it for especially like Corvette purists, because for years Corvettes were mainly manual transmission vehicles. Although the pansy asses nowadays that don't know how to use their left foot. God, it's sad when you see trucking companies have to put automatic transmissions in their trucks in order to hire drivers. Because nobody knows how to drive a 13-speed Road Ranger. And they are easy. Because once you come out of first, you don't use the clutch to shift. You shift by RPM. Say the shift point is 2,000 RPMs. You watch the tack, it goes up to 2,000 RPMs, shift. If Laura from Laura Farms can drive a 13-speed Road Ranger, anybody can. She learned. What is she? In her late 20s? Anybody can. It's just that the younger generation's goddamn lazy. Oh, a manual. Oh. That is the only thing I thank my father for. Teaching me how to drive a stick. Because I've had one ever since. My first car. My English Ford. In America, it was the Ford Cortina. But it was imported from England. Little four-banger. Or was it a three-banger? Let me think now. I think it was just a three-banger. Yeah. A little three-speed. I love that car. And then the starter went out, and it was going to take like 3 months to get a starter from England. And I traded it in. Although I upgraded. I had a Fiat 1500 Spider. Oh, was that a hot little car? the neat thing was it had two tops. It had a removable hard top, and then you put the convertible top up in the summer, and in the winter you put the convertible top down and you put the hard top on. And after that, I had the, let's see, do they have the MGB or the MG Midget? I had the Midget. Yeah, I had the MG Midget, and then I traded that in on an MGB. Yeah, I had the Midget first, and then I had the B. And what did I have after the MGB? Oh, I had a Renault. What the hell was that Renault? I think they just called it the DL, the Renault DL. It was a neat little sedan. Yeah, for years I owned nothing but foreign cars because they were all fun to drive. And I like it when people would say, you know, those little cars aren't going to catch on in America. Americans will never drive a little car. Now you take a look at that, what is it, Chevy Spark or whatever it is, it's like the size of my shoe. I think it's called the Spark. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called the Spark. It, it, it's not too much bigger than my shoe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called the Spark. I mean, Christ, my Passat is bigger than that thing. Yeah, I remember back in the day, people saying, oh, Americans will never drive a little car. Of course, those were in the days, you know, like the 59 Cadillac. That car was so big it didn't fit in the garage. I remember my father come home with when he bought one. A 59 Cadillac Fleetwood. He pulled it in the garage and 3 feet stuck out past the door. Them big fins pissed him off because he always liked to garage his cars. He couldn't close the garage door. Car stuck out. And what else did he have? Oh, he had nothing but big ass Cadillacs over the years. Of course, some of these little cars today would fit in the trunk of a 59 Cadillac. But I remember many people going, those cars will never catch on. The average American public will never drive a little car. Now look. Look at your Hyundais and your Kias and your little Chevy Sparklets. I'll tell you what, looking at that little dinky Chevy, I don't know how it passed any of the crash tests. That car looks like it would fold up like a sardine can. I would hate to be driving one of them and get hit from behind and get driven into the car in front of me. They'd have to use a can opener to get you out of it. I don't know how those little cars, especially the side impact, how those cars ever passed. I'd be afraid to drive one of them shit boxes. It's like a rolling casket. At least with the Passat, I got a little metal around me. And airbags everywhere. Christ, the car's got, all right, it's got an airbag in the steering wheel, airbag in the dash, it's got airbags in the A pillars, has airbags in the B pillars, and airbags in the C pillars. And that car's an '01. God, now cars got 30 airbags in them. Just something to drive up the cost of the automobile. Yeah, it's safety. But you know damn right well, you're paying for all of that. Well, that's why the average price of a car is like 35 grand today. Christ, I remember when I bought my, what the hell year was that? 76 Chrysler New Yorker. I think I paid 4 grand for a fully loaded New Yorker. Although I hated that car. Oh God, I don't know why I ever bought that thing. Biggest lemon. Oh, Christ. That car broke down weekly. And that was before lemon law. And after like owning it for 7 months, I threatened to sue Chrysler. Matter of fact, I had my attorney write him a nasty letter, and they bought it back off of me. Oh, the dealer was pissed. Oh, that dealer was pissed when he had to give me that check. I got every cent I paid. And they were instructed not to resell that car. Although I know what happened. It got shipped down south somewhere. They sold it to some poor, unsuspecting person down Florida, Georgia, Carolinas. That's like a, oh, it's got to be about 4 years ago. My buddy's son, unbeknownst to him, bought a flood car. and he was having all kinds of electrical problems. And for some reason, they had to take the seats out and the carpeting. And when they took the carpeting out, there was a layer of silt in the whole car. And they said, oh, this car's been in a flood. And then the more they took apart, the more they found mud and dirt. Yeah, it came up from down south somewhere. It was great for about 4 months. Then it started having all kinds of electrical problems. So they ended up taking the interior out, and they had to lift the carpeting. And when they lifted the carpeting, it was all mud and silt under the carpeting. And the dealer called him and he goes, you bought a flood car. He said, what do you mean? I said, look at all the mud in this car. And all they did was give it a quick detail and cleanup. They didn't bother pulling the carpeting up. He ended up suing the dealer that sold it. And they ended up having to take it back. And it probably got shipped back down south and sold to some poor sap. But really, for the repairs that I had to put into that Volkswagen, I can't complain. I could not go anywhere and buy a car that nice, because it does not have a spot of rust on it. Matter of fact, the first time that Ryan put it up on the lift, he couldn't believe it. He said, this car sat for 4 years in a backyard? I said, yeah. Sat in the lawn. He goes, look. And the underside of that car is perfect. That's why I don't really, yeah, I complain, but really, I walked out. Plus, it's only got 149,000 miles on a 30-year or 25-year-old car. That works out to less than 6,000 miles a year. But I am, unfortunately, going to have to do a couple of rapid oil changes because who knows how that engine was maintained with that expensive fucking synthetic oil. Brrr. Yeah, let me look. I'm keeping, from day one, a record book on that car of all the repairs and okay, I was wrong. It's got 157,000 on it. But even so, divide that by 25. And it works out to under 6,000 miles a year. That's unheard of. Christ, I was looking at cars on used car lots with 250, 275, 310. I'm like, 310,000 miles, this car's wore out. And then the salesman like, oh, it's got a lot of life left in it. Yeah, really? How come it says as is? Yeah, let me, for the hell of it, let me figure it. Calculator, 157.000 divided by 25 equals, okay, 6,280 miles a year. Christ, I know some people that put that on in 3 months. Like my sister. Oh, God. The mileage she's putting on that poor goddamn Ford Edge. You would know roughly, Kathy. She lives in Vermilion on the lake. She drives from there to the Brook Park Ford plant. And she's been doing it lately 7 days a week because she's working overtime. Talk about cranking mileage on a vehicle. The only good thing is Ford had to put a brand new engine in that. Something let go and caused catastrophic damage in the engine. And under warranty, they had to put a brand new engine in that car. And then when they were pulling the engine, they screwed up the front suspension. So they ended up putting a complete front suspension and steering rack in it. So the whole front end of that car is like brand new. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure when they put the engine in, they replaced the transmission. Yeah, because the service manager said, hey, you're putting this brand new engine in, and then the tranny's going to fail on her because it's got all these miles. So he somehow convinced Ford, all right, do it. So, like, when she got it back, it was like a brand new car. Except now she's cranking a godzillion miles on it every day. Yeah, when she comes out her front, comes out of the front of her house, she goes down like 3 houses, and it's a dead end, and there's a beach, and then the lake. Yeah, she's way up in Vermilion, way up there. Although she got the house for a steal. I'm trying to think. I think she bought it off an estate. Yeah, because the house was empty for like 3 years. And she got a hell of a deal on it. Yeah, she is. She's up in Woolly Bear country. Yeah, she is. I've been up there once. She picked me up because I told her, I said, I ain't driving up here. That's why I don't get invited for the holidays. There ain't no way I'm driving up there. I don't like driving distance anymore anyway. The only thing she bitches about is like when in the winter when the wind comes in off the lake, the drifting. Although lucky for her street is one of the first ones that the city plows, because otherwise the residents can't get out. It's a nice house, but not for me. Especially considering oh, this is the killer, Kathy. It's an all-electric home. In the winter, her electric bill could, oh, you know, electric furnace, electric hot water tank, electric stove. I said to her, I said, you know, you ought to consider having a gas line run in the house. At least you could have a gas furnace and kind of save on a little money. Yeah, I saw that in the news. I actually looked at the nationwide weather map. Because they were putting out ice warnings for that whole region. Hopefully you don't have to go out tomorrow. Well, speaking of going out, I think it's time we go out. I didn't have a snack earlier today, so my stomach feels like my throat's been cut. We know where, right here. Well, tomorrow will be the court report. That should be interesting. And with that, everybody have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. See ya.